Sorry?
All right, we're at San Diego Comic-Con at the DC booth talking to Joshua Williamson, who's the writer of the upcoming Frostbite and currently Flash for DC Comics. First question is always going to be the easiest, is how you actually came about writing Flash.
I asked for it.
That simple?
Yeah.
So, follow-up question, what about Flash that you want to do it?
You know, I love the Flash. I love the character. I've always liked him since I was a kid, and it's one of those things I really connected with. And as I got older, it's funny, when I was a kid and I started reading, was right before 0 Hour. So you're talking about like Return of Barry Allen, and I knew Flash stuff, but I started really getting into it around Return of Barry Allen. That's also when Impulse came around. So you imagine I'm a kid, so I was very much like an Impulse kid. Like, he was my favorite character, and I really connected with him. And then when I got to my 20s, I was very much about Wally West. But then when I got to my 30s, and you kind of had the Return of Barry Allen again, like the real Barry Allen, and then, the TV show and everything, I found myself more and more connecting with Barry, and really relating to him as a character. And so I would think about it all the time, and I would be like, I would like to write that book, but I didn't know if it was a possibility, right? So yeah, last year I met here with Dan, and I just pulled him aside, and I was like, listen, I want to write the Flash. That's all I want to do. I don't want to do anything else. I want to write the Flash. This is what I'm thinking. And he said no. That story's true. He really did say no. And so we talked about it a little bit, and then I came back around, and I came back in New York Comic Con, and again, I was like, I want to write the Flash. This is what I want to do, and he was like, all right, we'll do that. I told him the story I wanted to tell, and I was really passionate about it, and I was like, I have this thing I want to do. What do you think? And they were down with it.
So the series, the first issue or second issue or so, you've already introduced a new Speedster. The issue ended, and spoilers for folks, potentially a lot more Speedsters. There's so many Speedsters already, do you go and sit down and try to think of, all right, what's going to make this character unique from this other Speedster?
Yeah, we're going to touch on it a little bit, but all the Speedsters, this is a spoiler, all the Speedsters kind of have unique powers. They all have speed power, but some of them are better at other things. There's one Speedster who's better at vibrating, immediately can vibrate through walls, has figured out and vibrates through things, and they're better at that than anything else. Don't really have the skills that Barry has, but that's something they know how to do. There's one Speedster that has the ability to track people who have a Speed Force in them. They can track them anywhere in the world, they can sense it. But then also with the personalities of them all, they all have kind of very unique personalities. You'll see as the series goes on, and particularly August. Obviously August is one of the main ones that we introduced in issue 1. And his personality, I don't know, I love writing him. He has a very unique perspective on things, and he's sort of, I don't know, for a minute there when I was writing, I kept thinking about him, he is almost like a reverse Barry Allen. We have the reverse Flash, but he's a very reverse Barry Allen. But he's a good man. He's a good man. Him and Barry sometimes don't agree on things,
So obviously Barry's a forensic scientist, works for the police. You have August as a police officer. How much is the series going to kind of dive into the police force, or is it just kind of there in the background?
It's going to be in the background in the first arc. The second and third arc are really going to be a lot of that sort of stuff, and we are going to deal with Barry Allen, the forensic scientist. This first arc, we open on that a little bit, but then we really dive deep into he has to take care of all these Speedsters now. And a big part of Barry's problem, and it's always been Barry's problem, is he's always ignoring something. He's trying to do so much, he's always missing something. And that's one of the things that he's going to sort of miss out on, is his real life again. His day job is going to suffer, because now all of a sudden he has to take care of, these dozens of new Speedsters that just popped up, and he has to run around and actually try to train them, and catch them in some situations where they want to be criminals. So a lot of that stuff it becomes a point in the story that he isn't paying attention to his Barry Allen life, and what does that mean for him? He's always trying to keep these two lives separate. Can he do it?
So obviously, Flash is big with television shows, getting his own movie. As a writer, has that impacted at all, what you're thinking of maybe new people discovering the comics that are familiar only with television or movies?
Yes. I try not to write it that way. It's interesting. When I first started talking to them about it, I had some ideas that were probably too close to the show, and they told me to no, don't go that way. But I do want to make sure. It's interesting because I want to make sure it's accessible for everybody, not just the TV show people. I want to make sure that people that are coming from the show can read it and go, this is relatable enough, I know what's going on, I like this. The people who've never read a Flash comic before. And that's a big part of Rebirth, is it's not just getting back to basics. It's also about letting people who maybe haven't read The Flash an opportunity to try. and presenting it in a way that is like, this is an entry point for you, you know. It was an interesting balance to be like, me as a fan of the book, would I read this and like this, you know? Because I know this stuff, right? Like, I don't need to see Barry Allen's origin again. I know what's up. But you realize there are people that are coming in that don't, and then at the same time, you have the TV show people. So it is sort of trying to find this way of a balance, like a happy medium for everybody.
So we'll go pivot a little bit. So Frostbite, talking Vertigo. So describe the series. I mean, the first issue hasn't hit yet, so I know nothing other than the press release.
You know, it's crazy how much like little information there is on that book. We're actually talking about that this weekend, like how we can get this out to people.
Video to do.
Yeah, video. It is this world in which the second ice age has started. But the thing is, it's like post-apocalyptic. Like, humanity survived, you know, like this thing happened, and instead of it becoming this thing where everyone was living in huts and you know, letting humanity wash away, they survived. Like, they overcame this new ice age, and they were able to rebuild society. It's definitely challenging, and things are different, but, you know, there's all these cities where people are living in, and it seems like things are going pretty good for a while, and then all of a sudden this new virus shows up called Frostbite that essentially turns you into ice from the inside out, and it's very painful and it's very contagious, and so it's kind of changing the dynamic of this world. There is a woman, her name is Keaton. She's a coyote. Like, she transports items. She never transports people, but she gets offered a job to transport these two doctors, like a father and daughter, from Mexico to Alcatraz. And she's like, I don't want to do it, but they need the money. They need, you know, so she decides, okay, cool, I'm going to transport them. And in the process of transporting them from Mexico to Alcatraz, she becomes part of this big mystery of that world and some of the stuff involving the disease of frostbite in the world. But it's very like Mad Max in the snow instead of the desert. That's probably one of the best ways to explain it. Issue 3 has a lot of chasing stuff in it that's very Mad Max-ish. You know, it's this very action-packed sci-fi thing I wanted to do that has you know, a woman lead, really being this like hardcore coyote, like really trying to, you know, be this badass and transport them up the coast.
When's the first issue hit?
At the end of September, and Jason Sean Alexander's drawing it, and it's awesome. Like, he's doing these, it's really weird, he has this almost painted style with these inks that look really good, and the covers are painted. It looks amazing. Like, he's doing a lot of really cool stuff on it.
Well, telling to wrap up, so thank you very much for talking. Much appreciated, and everyone should go check out Flash and Frostbite when it hits shelves in a couple months.